Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet a consultant who is helping nonprofits get the cash they need to survive. Her incredible story just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
As you know, on this show, we feature a lot of nonprofits, and my heart goes out to them because they're doing so many amazing things, and it almost becomes a full-time job just raising money. Well, one overlooked area of their business is often grant writing. To talk about that today, Jeanna Davis. She is the founder and CEO of JMD Enterprises and Associates. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I want to hear your journey. How did you get into grant writing?
Well, I have been in the nonprofit sector for about 25 years, and I love helping organizations find the funding that they need. I run across so many people who have a passion for the community and helping people, but they just don't have the resources to do it, and they don't have the time to go out and look for those resources. And so I took a class a while ago, and it talked about grant writing, teaching how to go and look for those sources. And I'm a detail person by nature, and so I love the research part. So I just started getting on the computer and looking in different federal agencies and departments for grant opportunities through sam.gov and different sources. And I was just amazed at the amount of money that is sitting out there that a lot of organizations don't tap into.
And as you do it, you get better and better. So I can only imagine an executive director of a nonprofit trying to write their first grant. Oh, yes. It could take hours and hours and hours where you could probably knock it out in a couple hours.
Absolutely. And not only that, one of the things that helps with that is when an organization is tracking their information on a daily basis. That's the other part. We talk about being grant ready. You'll hear that all the time. Anytime you talk to a grant writer or consultant, they will talk to you about being grant ready, and that's about tracking your output and your impact so that when you get ready to tell your story, just like I'm sitting here talking to you, a grant is all about narrating who you are and what you've done. Yes. And there's so many small organizations out there that are doing great work, but they just need help telling their story. One of the organizations I work with has impacted 31,153, I know that because I did their grant, 31,153 people they served last year, and yet for some reason it is still difficult for them to get funding for their pantry, but their story has got to be told, and we've got to continue to look for those resources to be able to get them the support they need to keep doing that.
Okay, what does it feel like when you get awarded the grant? And do you get to give them a call and tell the client, guess what?
Yes, that is like, I almost did my happy dance, but I don't want to do it here. But yes, I have my own happy dance when that happens. Because for me, it feels good knowing that I've helped them get the resources they need to continue doing the work. And when I see the look on their face and I know how much some of them have struggled to get that funding, it is just a joyous moment for me.
Yes. We're going to pull up her website, and as we scroll down the website, you said you've been doing this now for how many years?
So as an entrepreneur in this role, I've been doing this officially for about a year in this role, but I've been doing this for 25 years as a volunteer.
And what have you discovered over the course of the last couple decades? Is the need greater than it ever was before? I mean, if we went back in the Wayback Machine to 15, 20 years ago, are there as many nonprofits looking for money as there are today?
Oh, absolutely. You know, the Best in Texas report, the 2023 Best in Texas report stated that there are 29% of the nonprofits in the state of Texas are actually in the DFW area. It is saturated with nonprofits in this area. And so as needs grow for individuals and families, there are organizations that are growing, trying to meet those needs. For every Samaritan Inn or United Way that you hear about. There's a small grassroots organization that's making an impact in their community, helping maybe 100 people that depend on them every week or every month.
We're going to pull up some video from our library of just nonprofits doing the wonderful things that they do. And my heart goes out to them because they're all doing something very special. But if you're an executive director, you might not be good at fundraising. You might not be good at grant writing. And that's really the lifeblood, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. That's with every business. And sometimes we forget nonprofits are also businesses, and they need money and funding to operate and to manage their operations. Absolutely.
And you also consult, so it's not just grant writing. What are some other areas that you're helping nonprofits with?
So one of the things that I also help with is making sure that organizations are in compliance. I have found that a number of organizations will lose their tax-exempt status simply because they're not in compliance. And it seems simple, to me, but for someone who just says, hey, I have a love for helping pets and I want to start an organization, well, they don't know about the requirements with the state of Texas. They don't know about the requirements with the IRS. They don't know about registering in SAM.gov and getting a UEI number. They just know, I love pets and I want to help, and that's where I come in. So helping organizations maintain their compliance requirements so that they can keep their tax-exempt status is one of the areas I help. I also like helping them track their performance. Like most of us, sometimes we are not good at selling our own story. We're a little modest sometimes, but when it comes to nonprofits and the work that they're doing, they really need to learn how to tell your story. You've got to do that and track what you're doing. And any grant that you apply for, you will usually be asked a question, what are your unduplicated numbers? Well, people want to know, are you helping 10 people this week and then the same 10 people next week? Or are these new people? So you want to track every detail of your organization. Are you helping new people every week? How many? How long are you helping them? When do they no longer need your help? All of that is part of an organization's journey, and it helps to sell their story to a potential donor through a grant or a corporate sponsorship or whatever, because people love to give to organizations that are making an impact in the community.
Yes, and they like a grant that is tight and professionally written. You dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's, didn't skip like 5 different questions, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I've had the privilege of reviewing grants for the federal government, and so that gives me additional insight in terms of what the government and organizations are looking for when it comes to grant writing, and you'd be surprised the number of people who don't have some of the simple documents that are needed, like a list of your board of directors and their affiliations or your financial statements. These little things that should happen every day in your business, they're not happening, and they can get in the way of you potentially getting a grant because they're not airtight.
Wow. And I know that there is a museum in Plano that is near and dear to your heart. Why don't you talk about that?
Well, it is the Plano African American Museum, and it has been in existence for quite some time, but I recently connected with the organization in the past year trying to help them kind of restart, if you will, and they just opened to the public last year for Juneteenth, opened its doors after many years, and it's gotten a great response. And for me, it's organizations like that and some of the other smaller organizations that may not have a national platform that I love helping. It's those grassroots people who are in the community telling stories. They have a huge responsibility. They're like a community classroom, which is what I love about it, the history there. And it highlights an area of Plano that wouldn't necessarily get a lot of attention. So they're doing some great work. A lot of people from all over the Metroplex have been reaching out, wanting to connect with them.
Wow. Well, I appreciate you for sharing your gifts with the world. In the little time we have left, if somebody's watching this, somebody is maybe the executive director or on the board of a nonprofit and they want to reach out to you, what's the process like? Do you meet face-to-face or get on Zoom to see if it's a fit? How does it work?
Well, I can do either. I usually like to start with a conversation just to find out more about what their mission is. Being able to articulate who you are, what you do, helps me. In most cases, I can just kind of walk them through what may need to be done, but I need to hear from them first. And I can do that either way. I'm usually pretty flexible about that. We can do a consult first.
Outstanding. We're going to end with your website, which is jmdenterprisesandassociates.com. The great Jeanna Davis. Thanks for coming on the show.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Jeff.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.